Okay, so today we're looking at Lululemon. You know them. Everyone knows them. Yoga pants, right?
Big brand.
But it's interesting what's happening kind of behind the scenes, like from an investor standpoint.
Hmm.
Their stock has really taken a hit. Like we're talking a 50% drop in just 6 months. But at the same time, their sales are booming internationally, especially in China.
Yeah, and the market's kind of all over the place right now in general. You've got volatility everywhere, and nobody's really sure what's up with consumer spending these days.
Especially for that luxury stuff.
Um,
So how does that play into all of this with Lululemon?
Well, we took a deep dive into their latest earnings call transcript, and there's some pretty interesting stuff in there. Like you said, international growth is through the roof, 37% jump in sales last quarter, from China mostly. But when you look at the U.S. market, it's a different story.
Yeah, sales are basically flat here, especially for their women's wear. And then there's that whole Breeze through line they were supposed to launch
Yeah.
that they put on pause. It's like they totally missed what U.S. shoppers are looking for right now. But then you've got China, where they're killing it. So what does that tell you?
Well, it seems like they're onto something with the whole global luxury market thing. Like Chinese consumers really seem to respond to that high-end brand image.
So is that what's going on with their U.S. sales then? Is it an image problem?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Lululemon says it's just a temporary thing, like they just need some fresh styles to get things moving again.
But are investors buying it?
I don't know about that. You really have to look beyond those numbers sometimes.
You have to look at what people are actually saying. So naturally, we headed over to Reddit, the R Value Investing subreddit, to be precise. And let me tell you, there are some strong opinions on Lululemon.
What are they saying?
Some people are really concerned about those $100 leggings.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, how long can they keep that up? Fashion trends change so fast. Plus, you've got all these cheaper athleisure brands popping up everywhere.
It's tough to compete with that, especially when it comes to price. But then you have others who are still all in on Lululemon.
Really?
Yeah, they're banking on brand loyalty
I guess they do have that going for them.
and that reputation for quality. Not to mention that huge potential for growth internationally. And get this, some people are even calling Lululemon a status symbol.
It's a status symbol?
I know, right? Like, who knew yoga pants could be aspirational?
Some people will buy anything if they think it makes them look cool.
That's what some of these Redditors are saying anyway.
I guess it's all about perception
Oh.
and how much people are willing to pay for it.
Exactly. It's not just about the clothes, it's about what they represent and how that fits into the whole market landscape.
That's a really interesting way to think about it.
This is where it gets even more interesting.
Oh, how so? Because there's been some legal stuff going on, too, that investors should know about.
Yeah, this is big.
Like a class action lawsuit, big. Claiming that Lululemon wasn't exactly upfront about their inventory and sales figures.
Oh, wow. Okay, so now we're talking about potential legal trouble on top of everything else. This is getting juicy.
Yeah, this could have a real impact on their stock price if investors get spooked.
So do we think they were trying to hide something?
Well, it's important to remember that these are just allegations at this point. Lululemon hasn't been found guilty of anything.
Right, until proven guilty and all that, but still, this adds a whole other layer to the story.
It does. And what makes it even more interesting is that Wall Street analysts are still bullish on Lululemon.
Wait, really? Even with this lawsuit hanging over their heads?
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
A lot of firms still have them as a buy. Like they see this whole stock dip as a prime buying opportunity,
So are they saying the market is overreacting?
basically. They think Lululemon is still a strong company in the long run.
So it's a gamble either way then.
It always is with the stock market, right?
True that. So with all of that in mind, what are the key takeaways for our listeners today?
I think the big thing to remember here is that investing in a company like Lululemon, it's not as simple as just looking at their clothes or even their financials.
You gotta look at the whole picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to think about market trends, consumer behavior, brand perception, and yeah, even legal challenges.
It's about connecting all the dots.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're all about here on the Deep Dive, giving you the information you need to make informed decisions. So as you're thinking about Lululemon, what are some key questions you should be asking yourself?
Well, first off, what's your risk tolerance? Because Lululemon stock has been all over the place, even with that impressive international growth.
Yeah, some people can stomach those ups and downs, and some people can't.
Exactly. So you got to know yourself and what you're comfortable with.
And what about the timeline? Are you looking for a quick return on your investment, or are you in it for the long haul?
Right, because with Lululemon, their future is still up in the air.
And we can't forget about the big picture. What's happening in the market as a whole?
Exactly. How are people spending their money? What are the overall economic conditions?
All of that matters.
It all ties together.
So we've got international growth, a lawsuit, and those status symbol whispers.
It's a lot to unpack.
That's for sure. But that's why we love doing these deep dives. It's all about uncovering those hidden layers and giving you a new perspective.
And at the end of the day, Lululemon's fate might just come down to one thing. Can they stay relevant?
Can they keep up with the times?
Can they adapt to changing tastes and trends?
And can they navigate the complexities of a global market?
If they can, they might just stay on top.
But if they can't,
Well, they could become just another brand that had its moment.
and faded away. It's a fascinating story to watch unfold, and we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought. What will you be watching for as Lululemon's journey continues? What insights will you use to guide your own investment decisions? Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. So we've got this lawsuit saying they weren't upfront about inventory and sales.
Yeah, this lawsuit is claiming they knew about some potential issues, but they didn't tell investors right away. And that lack of transparency, that can really shake things up.
Yeah, that's never a good look, especially in the financial world.
Definitely not. Investors want to know what's going on, and they want to know right away. But it's important to remember that these are just accusations at this point.
Right, it's not like they've been found guilty or anything.
Exactly. So we need to keep that in mind,
For sure.
but it's still a big deal. And it adds another layer of complexity to the whole Lululemon story.
It definitely does.
But here's the thing. Even with this lawsuit going on, a lot of analysts are still recommending Lululemon stock.
Really?
Yeah, they're calling it a buy.
So they're not worried about this lawsuit at all.
It seems like they're viewing it as a short-term challenge. Like they believe in Lululemon's long-term potential.
So they're saying buy the dip.
That's what it sounds like.
Interesting.
It's a gamble, either way you look at it.
That's the stock market for you. So where does this leave us? We've got potential risks, potential rewards.
It's a mixed bag, for sure.
But that's what makes it so interesting, right?
Absolutely. Lululemon is a company with a lot of moving parts.
And a lot of unanswered questions.
And that's what we're here to explore.
So much to think about.
There really is.
So when you're thinking about Lululemon as an investment, what are the big things to keep in mind?
I think it all comes down to how much risk you're comfortable with.
That's always a factor, right?
Always. And Lululemon's stock, that's been a wild ride lately.
To say the least. So you really got to be able to stomach those ups and downs.
Yeah, if you're easily spooked,
Ah.
this might not be the one for you.
And what about the long game?
That's another thing to consider. How long are you planning to hold on to this stock?
Because if you're looking for a quick turnaround, Lululemon might not be it.
It's hard to say what's going to happen in the short term.
But in the long term,
Who knows?
yeah.
The million-dollar question, right?
And that's what makes it so interesting. But we can't forget about the bigger picture either.
What do you mean?
The market as a whole.
Oh, right, of course.
What's going on in the world? How are people spending their money? All of that factors in.
It's all connected.
So we've got international growth, legal challenges, and this whole status symbol thing. It's a lot to process.
It really is.
But that's why we do what we do. We want to give you all the angles.
So you can make the best decision for you.
And at the end of the day, Lululemon's success might come down to one question. Can they stay ahead of the curve?
Can they keep innovating? Can they stay relevant?
Can they adapt to a changing world?
Those are the questions investors need to be asking.
Because if Lululemon can't keep up,
Yeah.
they might just become another cautionary tale.
A brand that had its moment in the sun.
And then faded away.
It happens all the time.
But for now, Lululemon's story is still being written. And it's going to be fascinating to see what happens next. So as always, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Lululemon? Are you bullish or bearish? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives. We'll see you next time.